it's Wendy Smith here from Wendy Smith Positive Life Coaching. I'm doing a video today to discuss exactly what sexual harassment is and how it's carried out, because it happens so often. Most commonly known as happening in the workplace, but it can happen in any situation where there's an interaction between a male and a female. It could be parent, child, it could be, between partners, it could be between friend groups, it could be anything like that. So any interaction that is between a male and a female where anything to do with sex that's inappropriate is carried out, really. So it's anything of a sexual nature that is with anyone other than a sexual partner. As I've said before, sometimes it could be mother-son, sometimes it could be father-daughter, it's male-female, female-male as well. So there's lots and lots of it going on. If you go out, it's actually really commonplace. And when you're aware of it, you're going to start seeing where it's happening in ways that you didn't actually think it was happening for you. You don't always know at the time, and you don't always feel able to speak up at the time. You just get an uncomfortable feeling that something's not quite right. And then it'll become apparent to you maybe later on, and you have the choice at that time whether you want to do something about it. And it can be dealt with historically. However, most people opt to choose to see if it continues and happens again. Now, some people at that point will be willing to speak up to the person that is doing it and tell them they don't like it. They may find other channels if they're not quite so confident in reporting it, but everybody is liable for their own behaviour under the law of sexual harassment. So it's likely to cause uncomfortable feelings like embarrassment, shame, feelings of inadequacy, negative comparisons, undermining self-esteem, feeling uncomfortable or violated. You just get this sense where something's not right. You can't maybe pinpoint at the time why you feel so uncomfortable, but you just feel uncomfortable. And if you feel uncomfortable, that's the important thing that matters. It doesn't matter whether anybody else thinks you're overreacting or that they would, feel differently about it, be able to accept it and just laugh it off. If it feels uncomfortable to you, that's okay. That's what matters, and that's the important thing, and that's what needs to be respected. How you feel about anything is the most important thing. Nobody else matters. Their opinions don't matter. Don't allow anybody to talk you out of it, because they could be making you feel ashamed or embarrassed as well. So anything that is an intrusion of privacy or your personal space or preference, asking about your sex life or sexual habits or preferences, making comments about sexual body parts, that also includes their own. So if they're referring to their own sexual body parts, and that's embarrassing, or not in the right situation, you just don't want to hear it, you don't want to know that sort of stuff, then that's wrong as well. We should not be doing that with anybody again other than the person that we're going to be in a sexual relationship with. It could be flirting that includes sexual innuendo or references in any way, shape or form. Banter that includes sex in the same as above in any way, shape or form. Failing to read signals that another is uncomfortable and continuing regardless, or even noticing that they feel uncomfortable and continuing regardless, and maybe even then doing it on further occasions, because there are some people that actually like to make people feel uncomfortable, and they're not very nice people. But once they realise that it's actually put you into that position, they may continue to do it. Often it's people that see themselves as superior or in a position of authority. They may be using that authority as a cover that they think allows them to get away with things that maybe they're even, telling other people that they shouldn't be doing, or correcting them, or disciplining them, or taking action on, then they also should not be doing it either. So, it's really, really awful if it is somebody in a position. It could be a boss, it could be a co-worker, it could be a parent, it could be a teacher at school, it could be anybody, doctor, it could be anybody in a profession, it could be a policeman, it could be somebody who works in the health service, it could be anybody in any walk of life that is capable of sexually harassing. And it can be done online as well. So if somebody, maybe a colleague contacts you out of the blue with a sexual innuendo, sexual suggestion, then it's not right. They shouldn't be doing it. Should not be doing it either in public or in private like that as well, and using social media or any of those ways to make contact with you, because that's infringing your rights to privacy. So it's failure to have their own boundaries and their own values of self-regulation, their inability to control themselves. It doesn't matter. It's not up to you to stop them. They're actually the ones that are responsible because they're carrying out the behaviour. No matter what, it is never your fault. Okay, always remember that. It is nothing to be ashamed of. It's okay to speak up. We need to speak up to get action taken for these people to be stopped, because if we don't do it, it could continue for us, but it's likely to also continue for other people. It probably already has been going on for some period of time with other people anyway before it got to us. And unless somebody stands up at some point and says, look, this isn't right, they will continue into the future as well, maybe upset and hurt a lot of other people as well. And it could end up really, really serious in future for the person on the receiving end. Even if a person doesn't speak up at the time, it doesn't mean that they're okay with it. It really is about being in a position of recognising when somebody starts to look frightened, starts to look uncomfortable, maybe starts to turn away, starts to change the subject, all those things, maybe even giggles. They're not actually laughing because they're finding it funny. It may be that they're extremely nervous. A lot of people, when they're feeling uncomfortable, will giggle. So there's just a few more bits here. Anything that is suggestive of sexual interest, touching any area of another body's other than their arm or the arm around the upper half of the back, standing too close or making somebody else stand too close to you is another thing. So you could be actually blocking somebody's way, or somebody could be blocking your way, so that they actually have to brush their bodies up against you, which they're not going to feel comfortable about. And if somebody puts you in that position or brushes up against your body where you don't want it, you have the right to say no, and you have the right to report it. So putting anything that makes a comparison between masculine and feminine in a disempowering way is also sexual harassment. Anything that looks sexual or that it may turn sexual, it may or may not be physical. So it just may be somebody speaking to you. It may even be a look. It may be something suggestive in their nature. You may pick up on something. It could be the body language, anything. The way they touch you. They might touch your hair in a way that they shouldn't. They might start brushing your face. Anything that relates to you and your body, because your body is your temple. Nobody has the right to touch you on your body in any way if you don't like it. Whether anybody else thinks it's okay to behave in those ways, if you're doing these things and your influences, those people around you, are saying it's okay, you can choose to be different. Because if you don't choose to be different, you could be the person that's caught. You could be the one facing criminal legal action against you. So it's up to you to check your own behaviour. And if you are carrying out any of this stuff, get rid of it, change the habits, and start making sure that you recognise what's right and wrong, and make sure that you don't carry out any of the things that I've been discussing here. serious business. You could be using, as I said before, any form of technology. You could be sending suggestive pictures, you could be sending suggestive emails, you could be finding, pornographic stuff, sending it to somebody. You could be sending pictures of your private parts to somebody. That in itself is also sexual harassment. Anything that's unwanted. And I know personally, having been on Facebook for a long time, there are people who do think it's appropriate and funny to send photos of their private parts. Now, they immediately get referred and reported by me, but I do know that it's actually really prevalent out there. So make sure you keep your private parts to yourself, but you report anybody else that's sending you anything inappropriate that feels really uncomfortable. And that's pretty much everything. But if you do notice that somebody is carrying out these behaviours, you maybe were unsure, they may be saying a rude word, they may have noticed that something that they have said, maybe a rude word that could be taken both ways, has made you feel uncomfortable, and they're continuing to say that, then the fact that they know you're uncomfortable, they obviously will try and claim that they've said something completely innocent and meant something innocent, but actually it's not. If they're doing it repeatedly and they know that you're uncomfortable, they know that you're feeling really, really bad and maybe starting to get anxious about them doing it, then you are actually able to, stand up and say, actually, I don't like it, and if it continues, then you report it. Okay? If anybody's got any questions, if anybody's dealing with this, if anybody, I do work with people that are being bullied, I do work with people that have been sexually abused, I do work with people that have had childhood abuse, I do work with people that have been in relationships with narcissists. That's actually my specialist area. So if any of this has gone on for you and you want to actually start working on building up your confidence, your assertiveness, so that you can handle these people in future, then by all means get in contact with me at the details below, and we can start working together to build you into somebody that no longer attracts this sort of attention from people. All right, thanks a lot. Speak to you later. Bye.